Our instructor and speaker tonight is Andre Flagger of Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Andre believes in the power of infinite possibilities of the flags, in the instrument in which each one can explore and transform the inner self. He also believes that dance and the colors of fabrics can help everyone in their own journeys, in the expansion of their souls and consciences. Whenever you have questions for him, please unmute and ask your question and mute afterwards. Take it away, Andre.
Thank you, Daniel. Can you hear me?
We can.
We do. Thank you. So nice to see a lot of smiling faces here. I'm glad to see some friends here. Good to see you guys. And thank you, Daniel, for invitation. When you make this invitation to tell more about our community and our flagging culture here in Brazil, I felt very connected again with our past. Was a time for reflection to see 20 years of story in Belo Horizonte and Brazil putting all together. There was a lot of work and colors and friends. So it was good to assemble all these things together. So our intention here is to show a little bit of what our culture shows, what we brings. We have here some friends from Brazil, Brazilians, not actually in Brazil now, but Marcos Pereira, there's Rony, there is Luan, yes, there is Weverton, some other friends here. Please, if my English is not good, they will help me here, okay? I count on them. I made a small presentation. If you don't mind, I would like to show from there. There is a tip you gave to everyone, right, Daniel, to share the screen and stuff, but we'll see how it's gonna work, right?
Well, first share your screen.
Okay.
And then I'll give them help.
So are you seeing my screen now?
We are.
We do. Okay, great. Is that okay for you guys?
It is so beautiful, you have no idea.
Okay, thank you. You can stop me and ask me anytime, right? Okay, thanks. So, I start to talk about myself a bit. I'm 43 years old guy. I'm young. Sometimes, some others I'm like a kid. I love the beach. I work a lot in Fiat Chrysler here in Brazil as a teacher and technical teacher. And I love my country. I don't change my country for anything. Maybe for Australia, we have the same weather. I could try once, right? Okay. But I know in the States, I've been in the States sometimes. It's a beautiful place with very polite people. I learn a lot from you. So what I believe about flags, I believe in art. Only we can limit it. This is a unlimited power. So I believe in the colors of it. We need these colors. to make our reflection and healing or inspiration. So there's a tip here of a book, Creating Mandalas, from Fincher, Susan Fincher. She's on the Facebook now, but a long time ago, she was an inspiration to study the colors and the meaning of it. So music is always the answer. I love music and dancing. In Brazil, we love rhythm. So even if you're listening to a music that you cannot understand what they are talking, if I think it happens to everyone, the music must beat on your hearts, right? So, and the collaboration. You're nothing without the group. You can fly to other universes and meet a lot of different things if you have collaboration. So I'll talk about South America. Brazil is the hugest country in South America. 4 million people we have down here and all over South America. Well, we don't speak Spanish. We speak Portuguese. It's the only country that speaks Portuguese. And Brazil has 200 million people. We love feijoada and caipirinha. That's a traditional dish or a drink. You can be very drunk with caipirinha. Well, there are some curiosities here. It's a country with free sex change surgery. It's paid by the governmental hospitals. That's a very interesting thing. And the gay pride happens in São Paulo. It's the hugest one in Brazil. It reached 4 million people in 2011. I can tell about 4 cities here. My city, Belo Horizonte, Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, and a very small island called Florianopolis. These 4 cities holds most part of the flaggers in Brazil. So let's talk about the flagging art a bit. When the Indians was in Brazil, only them, homosexuality was socially accepted among them, but it changed a bit. Today, we have just less than 1% of the population of Indians. During 60s to 80s, bars and clubs were the only places that you could find gay people. I think it was almost the same as you guys had in your culture, right? So during this time, HIV was hard and homosexuality gained visibility. We had a case of Cazuza, for example, was a very, very famous singer who died in 1990 with HIV. Well, there were no flaggers in Brazil at that time, since you had in the 70s in the US, they were not here yet. But something happened in the 90s, as well in the rest of the world. The parties, the huge parties, was starting to appear, and Brazil was one of the places who has really strong parties with American DJs happening. So flag art became popular in Brazil, mainly in the regions with the highest concentration of huge club parties in the late of 90s. Rio and São Paulo was the main scene. There's an example here of Carnival in Rio. I think everyone know here about Carnival. But there's two curiosities here. During Rio, Carnival in Rio, you can see people from all over the world. And the electronic parties in Rio received a lot of Americans. Some of them were flaggers. So Carnival brought all the tribes, all the gay people together in huge parties. And flagging was good, was born at that time. The second thing is a curiosity about the flagger. Do you see the woman there? She is a flag waver. She defends the brand of Samba tribe. Every single Samba school has a flag. So there's a flagger there as well. But it's just a curiosity for you, okay, guys? So I've changed it. Okay, now change it. The greatest parties in Rio, the most important scene was in the ex-demente parties. Maybe the oldest guys will hear about it. So these parties allowed us to bring our flags, meet our flaggers, and see other technologies or the stamps. So it was a nice place to change our culture with Americans. Since then, since the huge parties, there's a group, a very restricted group in Brazil, in my city, called Vortex. It was inspired in many groups like Centrifugal Force, Texas Flaggers. So the Vortex was a group that was traveling around Brazil to these huge parties and bringing the color and the movement of the flags. I was not good to be a restricted group, but my flag daddy wanted that. Anyway, many other flaggers wanted to show their arts, but they were not allowed it on the time. Crazy, huh? Well, there was not a settled spot of origin of this art in Brazil. Some people think we started in Belo Horizonte, but it's not true. In Rio, you can find people from all over Brazil that a flagger from US brought, or someone traveled to maybe a Palm Springs party, a white party or something. So there's no rule about a special place. I brought a flag, a pattern of silk that we had 20 years ago. This is a 20 years old flag. So there was a difference between our manufactured flags and the pattern in the US. Well, we had a lot of presentations in my city, as well in Rio and São Paulo. These are some of the flyers from that time. Our painting patterns, the flags were painted by artists that could paint in silk. They were not painted by us. That's what my flag master wanted, and we were bringing the Vortex with this art. Well, I tried many times to put some different styles in the silk, They were not the best at that time, but they were good experiences. I have here Andrew Elliott. I don't know if you know him, but I met him almost 20 years ago in Rio. He was a great friend of mine, and he was responsible to give me some powder and the weight so we can change our technology to a new technology, to new kind of fabrics, very different. And I think Andrew learned with Don Baker. So there is a great culture here. So when Carnival is not happening in Rio, São Paulo was the main scene. The Level Club, 20 years ago, was the place that flaggers could love to flag. It was a huge party with beautiful DJs playing real music, and there was a scene that flaggers were allowed to be. Was free to move, and that was life. Well, then came the Week International. It was a new brand which was settled in Rio and then São Paulo, and they doesn't like flaggers much. Actually, they doesn't like flaggers at all. So the main scene was over for us. We started to go to the raves, and we still in the raves with the new generations. Was a great place to celebrate our flags with other tribes, other cultures. We were very welcome there. We still have our parties in Belo Horizonte in different areas, in the streets, for charity and everything. But we were invited to electronic music, but not in clubs. So there was another group, Vortex was over. My flag daddy was out, got separated from us, and we started a new group with people with another desires, more simple for sharing and everything. This was Hypnos group. So Hypnos made a lot of parties. I change it now, it may change for you. Here we go. A lot of new parties. We were invited for a lot of things across Brazil. And we had a lot of fun. So we made new friends, shared our art. We have been in some clubs, some nightclubs with good music, but most of them were in our city. So if we can continue the timeline, we are about this century, and we started from 2004 till now to be in the raves. But we also started flagging in the park and the workshops. It was a nice experience for us. It was completely different, out of the clubs. So there were new energies, there were new people, new smiles. You can see the people smiling during the day. So this was our first flag in the park. It was in 2008. We used to do the line, all the flaggers in the line together, synchronize it. We try to synchronize the movements. And when this is the highest time in the flag in the park, you should try it once. It's hard to do it, but when we do it, all the guys can feel a nice vibration of unity. So this was flagging the park for us. a lot of good vibration, smiles, colors, and yes, it's a great idea. I think so, Elizabeth. So we got some improvements from the first flag in the park to the second. We needed music. So we invited a friend of us. Now he plays in some clubs. And we made a flyer. We made some tiles on it. And we asked it for to be allowed it to be in a park to the city hall. They said, okay, go there, go have your fun. And we had the second meeting in the next year. And it was really fun. We made in a different area. Our intention was to try different parks in our city, so everyone could share the colors on the parks. So this was the second park event. Was really fun. More flags. The line again was really fun. So this is the third. Look, our flyer, it's a little bit different now. We invited Bruno de Beniche. It's a flag from São Paulo. He had some styles, put some fantasy on it, because this was the intention of us. And this is the line, you see, the line you used to have. So this is the representation of the tribe. Synchronize it. Well, the flag in the park was great. Again, flaggers teaching to a lot of people. And we had some improvements. We had a symbol, we had a tent, we invited another tribes, and the thing were getting larger. We were invited to be in the world of the children, to share flagging with children. It was a kind of exchange to the city hall. We asked them to be allowed to make things. They say okay, but they invite us to make another things to them. So it's a kind of sharing spaces. It was interesting for us. We went there. We had we saw children smiling. Was very peaceful. Now I have another flyer here. So we had a lot of improvements. We had our symbol on it. We had the line from the last flagging the park, but it was a different clothes on it. We had our project approved by the city hall, so we had money, and we brought Xavier to hold the event with us. So we asked art, the Flow Affair from Wolfgang Busch. So we showed Flow Affair in a theater, so people could see the film, Flow Affair film, and Xavier was there to chat with people and talk about what it was, the flagging to him. So people asked things to him, and we had a wonderful night. So there was another day with the flag in the park, as usual. And yes, we learned it from him as well, Luan. That's right. And we had the workshop. So we were doing tie-dye studio, but we wanted to see him doing that and teaching that. So it was a 3 days of sharing special guests in our community. So this is a few guys on the Flow Affair. You can see some flaggers with us here. And Rony from Florianopolis, some guys from São Paulo, some guys from Rio, not much, but we were there. And this is the flag in the park. We had a tent to hold the DJ or the GJs. And the tent was great on sound. We had a t-shirt. Every year we had a different t-shirt holding the event of the year. And this was the tie-dye studio with Xavier. On this time was fun. So, as I told you guys before, the tie-dye studio was happening all the time during the time we were doing flag in the park as well. People, they can make their own flags and we can practice every year. So the tie-dye studios was great to make the people bring from themselves their colors. I as a flag master, I could make flags to people, but it's not the same thing when you bring them, invite them, and ask them to choose the colors by themselves. That's different. So it was a great opportunity to see them sharing their own colors. So this was some of the pictures of many events. People was we're using a lot of black, but black was okay. We had different techniques. So we spread it to Xavier some techniques as well. We had a lot of improvement on our techniques. And here is Marcos. He came to join us once. I think the owner of this flag will recognize it in US. So the flaggers, all the time they were smiling, was really, really good time. The people was practicing their own new flags. And we had a lot of tie-dyeing studio. So that's it. I had 25 minutes. I have 5 minutes left, I think.
You do. We've got 5 minutes for questions, and I would encourage
questions
to avail yourself. Who knows when you'll get this chance again to talk to Andre Flagger about flagging in Brazil.
Andre, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. I was just wondering where in Brazil you actually are.
I beg your pardon?
I was just wondering where you are in Brazil.
Who I am?
No, where? Donde? Donde?
De onde? I am from Belo Horizonte. It's a city in a state called Minas Gerais. It's near to São Paulo and Rio state. It's about 400 kilometers from Rio and 600 kilometers from São Paulo.
Thank you.
I have something to say.
Oh, this is Xavier. Be welcome.
I have something to say too. Yeah, can I go?
Please, Ronnie.
Yeah, no, I would like to say that Andre is an incredible guy with the flags because of his passion. He wishes to spread all the time the art, and he makes that with his heart. It is very nice to have him here today talking to us, It's such a pleasure to be here with him. Okay, that's it. Xavier.
Thank you, honey. Xavier?
I just wanted to say it was such a pleasure to meet you. The opportunity to, I remember we met at the Jardin Botanique in Rio,
Yes.
and then you came to San Francisco, you and Clanio, and then I had the opportunity, you brought me to Belo
Belo
Horizonte.
Horizonte.
It was an amazing opportunity to meet somebody who I felt was stepping out in the community to lead it in a way that not too many people have done. And I thank you for leading your tribe. I think that you hold the same respect in your community as I hold in mine. And there's a lot of responsibility in that. And I remember we talked about that. So yeah, thank you so much for doing all you've done for the community.
Thank you for
Xavier,
inspiring us. Since
Andre
a long
is
time
like-
ago.
Andre
Thank you,
is like
Xavier.
the father of us all here.
Thank you, honey. Very kind of you.
We can take at least one or two more questions. Anybody else?
Are people still tie-dyeing there? I know Duda and I know that there are people that are making flags, but are the dyes available? Has it become more popular?
Thank you for asking that, Xavier. Once I remember we were talking about this, the fabric and the material are very expensive for us. Thank you for reminding me this detail. So making flags, it's not cheap, or as it used to be in the US maybe, but there are some flag makers like Duda, as you said, in São Paulo. Rony, it's a very good representative person, a flag maker in Florianopolis. It's a new scene with new flaggers that they can enjoy electronic music in the streets. There's great events there, but there are new flaggers going on, like Thiago. It's a flag maker now. Hildo, it's a flag maker now since our meetings, and I can see another generation of flaggers. It's a guy called Rafael. Sometimes I talk to him in the WhatsApp. I think he talked to you once as well. He told me that yesterday, and he is the new generation of flaggers. It's a great inspiration for me to continue stitching and seeing the thing going on for the next generation. So thank you for asking that.
So Andre, I'll take the last question, if I might. When we come to Brazil to see the Brazilian flagging community, what do you think we'll find the most surprising or most wonderful?
Well, I think these guys here are very fun. Most of them are really young people, but I think they will be curious to know you and to know your movements. So I think it will be very curious to see how much life they have on them to learn.
Okay. Thank you so much, Andre.
Thank
I know
you.
how hard you worked on this. Let's have a big round of applause for Andre Flagger. Unmute yourselves. Woo! Thank you.
Andre.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was really great, Andre. Great video, great pics.
Thank you. Thank you, George.